You're listening to the Living Inside Out podcast, and I'm your host, Toks Aruoture. This is episode 93. Welcome to the Living Inside Out podcast, where we believe the mind is the engine room of our lives. Episode 93 is Finding Freedom. Tips to overcome overwhelm. Hey friend, I am excited to be with you today. Thank you for tuning in, especially if you're new here. Thank you for entrusting some, 28 or so minutes. I'm guessing that's how long this is going to take to this platform, but more importantly, for investing in you. Because we don't just record this for the sake of recording it. My deepest desire is to see people transformed from the inside out. So I really do thank you, and thank you for sharing as well. The podcast listenership is growing, and I couldn't be more excited about that. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do, because rating and subscribing does more than letting me know that you love the content. It helps me to decide the direction, make sure that I've got my hand on the pulse, and it also helps us to get seen by more people, which the more people who have an opportunity to dig deep into their minds and change the way they think and the way they do life, I think that the happier we will all be. But seriously, working on the mind isn't just a trend because everyone's talking about mindfulness and mental health and so on. Working on the mind, the living inside out method allows you to live the life that God created you to live, so that you're not frustrated with dreams and goals and desires within you, but you're unable to manifest them because you just can't get them out because they're stuck. So can I please ask that you rate this episode and subscribe to the show and then share it with your contacts? Thank you so much. Well, today's episode was clearly supposed to happen. It had been written in stone before I was born. Here's the thing. I've been feeling overwhelmed, very overwhelmed. But I haven't even considered addressing it until now because my focus was on what I believed was the cause of it and not the effect. You see, overwhelm is one of those states of being that is insidious. It's one of those things that you really have to deal with because it can derail your plans and even it can affect your destiny. And I'll tell you why. Focusing on my list of things to do and the activities was a distraction from the effect it was having on me. Because here I am thinking that I need to do this, I need to do this. I'm adding more to my plate because it must be done, because I have a purpose, because I have goals. I'm adding all of these things to my plate and it's overwhelming me. But I'm thinking that I'm overwhelmed because I haven't done it. And I totally ignored the effect it was having on me. I just focused on the activity as well. So I had planned to do an episode on dealing with it as a business owner, but my intention was very different from how today is turning out to be, because I had accepted it as so normal. And I thought every entrepreneur is dealing with overwhelm. It comes with the territory. I intended today to discuss ways of handling it and not banishing it. But all that changed when I received a message from my dear friend Tomi. Tomi Rotimi is a seasoned businesswoman. She's an author, a speaker, and a podcast host as well. All of her links to all of the stuff is in the show notes. She sent me her video because she has recently started putting out inspirational videos, and it was about overwhelm. Now, when people say that they were inspired by me or that I inspired them to do something, it's almost always because of something I said. They're like, hey, what you said made me think, and I did this and I did that to make changes. But this is different because In this case, Tommy was inspired because she watched my life. And I haven't even dealt with and come to terms with that aspect. You know, the beauty of being seen and loved to the point where they start listing solutions to the challenges that you're facing because they saw it. And then they even make a video of that. I am so blessed and I'm just so enamored by it all. And coming to terms with it requires me to schedule time and sit with it and then journal my thoughts. So let's just leave that to the side. But I will say that constant curation of your environment is absolutely essential. From the people you have in your life and engage with, to your social media feed and the information you digest, you've got to set boundaries and regularly check to make sure that everything in your space has passed the authenticity test. Because what you don't want to do is become like those people who are always talking about their haters. You know them. Some people say your friends are your best customers, but they don't shop with you, or your friends don't like your comment or your post. How can they be your real friend? Or watch out for your haters. All of that nonsense. Practicing authenticity attracts the right people to your space and repels the wrong ones. And that's why Tommy is in my space. And I'm thankful for that. Now back to the video. I would rather you watched it yourself so that I don't add any jara to it and change the entire meaning. Anyway, the video lists the reasons why yours truly is overwhelmed or was overwhelmed, and she is absolutely right. So let's get into some detail. Today I want to share from my experiences 3 of the causes of my overwhelm. And I'm sharing it because I believe somebody listening also has those 3 causes, or one of them, or 2 of them, as the reason they're overwhelmed as well. I need you to be open-minded that this is happening not because of the situation you're in, but because of your thoughts about it. If you can at least accept that, then dissecting your thought processes to untie the kinks and the knots will be so much easier. Now, one of the reasons she mentioned in the video was not scheduling rest and relaxation. Now, that one, I couldn't even argue about. And so I immediately closed my laptop and I went to bed. It was about 2 o'clock, maybe 2:30 in the afternoon. And this is day 3 or day 2 of limited sleep and busyness and flying all over town and so on. And it was so bad that while I've been working on eliminating my coffee intake, I was so tired and on alert that I had to go and grab a cup of coffee. But then the minute I watched the video, I just shut everything down and I went to bed. I slept for an hour and a half, then jumped onto my coaching call with my Swisters, which is members of the SWA Academy, which is the coaching group that I belong to. And guess what the topic was? Managing your energy. Because it's okay to have big goals, but it's sometimes or often impossible to achieve them, actually impossible to achieve them if you don't have the energy to fulfill it. So part of our activities in the group was deciding to take a step to raise our energy levels, and mine was to schedule rest and relaxation. The whole thing took me back to the start of the year, this year 2024, when I simplified my life and removed all that wasn't serving me. But then over the last few months, I have gradually added all those things back again, taking on more than I needed to, because the weariness and exhaustion meant that I wasn't taking off my list of things to do, which was exaggerated and long. And if I wasn't getting everything done, it also meant that I wasn't reaching my goals. And then I thought, since I'm not reaching my goals, it must be because I'm not doing enough. And so I piled on even more on my plate. Now, overwhelm and procrastination work hand in hand, you see. One feeds the other. Because you procrastinate since you're tired. And then you're overwhelmed because the things that have piled up now leads you to procrastinate some more because you think you can't get it all done, and you end up being trapped in a cycle. But not anymore, because today we will begin to banish it. Once you can understand your thought process around the subject, it becomes easy to deal with. I want you to consider specific ways in which you might be permitting overwhelm and stress to remain, so that going forward, we are not simply resting, but we're scheduling everything in. And I even want you to schedule in some time to address this overwhelm. The second cause I picked up in my life has been my thoughts around time. Like you, I've got some audacious goals, but what I was doing was stacking up the perceived time the activities will take against the size of the outcome that I expected, and I got paralyzed because it just seemed impossible. If you keep stopping to check how far you've got to go or how much work you've got to do against the outcome or the date you want the outcome or the manifestation to happen, you too will end up being paralyzed, because it leads to becoming overwhelmed before you even begin. And then you end up procrastinating. Procrastination is like postponing your meal times for 3 straight days with the intention of dealing with the hunger on the 3rd day. So you keep adding food to the plate for future consumption. And your intention is, I'm going to do it all in one day, because you're making this decision based on a fantasy that the person you will be in 3 days is going to be different, more capable, less time bound than the person you are now. There's a time for every activity, and that statement doesn't merely apply to the time it takes, but also to the moment you choose to take the action. Because time isn't simply the gradual movement of the earth around the sun. Rather, every moment of time is pregnant with the potential to create. So that, like 2 pieces of jigsaw puzzles coming together, you will only get a specific result when you take a specific action at its pre-assigned time. Procrastination doesn't only lead to overwhelm, but it also robs you of optimum results. That's what I have found. Saying I'll do it later is a very careless statement, because the person you will be when you plan on doing it later is very different from who you are now. And in life, there are no guarantees. You've got to remember that the outcome will always be more than the input. So don't feel that you've got to put in the same amount of work that will create the same amount of result. Just like one healthy seed produces plenty of fruit, one small action will produce a massive result. So if you have been procrastinating on starting because you think that you don't have enough resources to get started, because you've been measuring what you should have against what you will produce, I really hope that this truth liberates you. The third reason I identified was not having a handle on my thoughts. This one is an inability to focus for long periods. If this is you as well, then you develop the habit of not only taking in lots of information, but taking in short bursts of information. And one of the causes of this, or the vehicles through which we do this, is too much time on social media. Listen, I miss the days when you could get to the end of your Facebook feed. If you are one of the earliest users or earlier users of Facebook, you'd remember that you will go on there, and by the time, literally within minutes, you've come to the end. Facebook had an end. It had an end because all you saw were your friends' activities and the 1 or 2 pages that you signed up for. Those days, you'd have no reason to even go online every single day. You'd go on maybe once in a while, see some pictures, you'd laugh, you'd get off. And most of our communication was done in person. or over the phone, the boundaries have been erased. Today, we see posts from sources that we never even heard of or signed up for because Facebook, quote unquote, thinks you'd like this. So instead of getting a flow of related, curated information, you now get a potpourri. We're all getting this potpourri of random bits that send us on an emotional roller coaster. Because first it's a cute video about a puppy or a dog or a child, and the next thing it's about speeding on the M25 or whatever motorways near you and how someone didn't brake and they crashed. Or maybe you're getting information about celebrities you don't care about and how they did this and this person's getting divorced. It's just so much. And the effect of these bite-sized, random information means that we are concentrating for shorter and shorter periods of time. And then we end up jumping from one task to the other as each thought shows up. And after working hard for hours, you're like, what did I complete? Nothing. You don't have a single completed task. And then you get stressed because you have barely moved the needle. Another cause of zero staying power on a thought or task is when you chase after joy or pain. Episode 6 is titled Emotional Decision Making, Joy or Pain, and it's a concept that we should all be conscious of. So I recommend that you have a look at that, or you have a listen rather. A point comes in the emotional space when it starts to get too uncomfortable for us to continue thinking along those lines, and so we end up pivoting. I'll give you a practical example. Recently, I started a new weight exercise regime, and some of the repetitions are easier than others. Anything arms, I am down with it. Anything that has me lying on my back and lifting weights, I can do. The issue is when I have to do squats or any sort of weights that involve my thighs or my legs. Those are the hard ones for me. Now, although my intention is always to see it through to the end, so far that hasn't happened yet. I would do a few reps of a specific exercise and then stop and wait for the instructor to finish because I'm like, I'm done. And I'm stopping because of the discomfort, not because it's impossible, because, hey, they are doing it. Now, if you've got a mindset of always chasing joy or always running away from pain, you will not complete your thought processes the way that I am yet to complete certain repetitions. Practicing following through to the end, regardless of how uncomfortable it is, in real life, in the physical, will also help you to go through and complete your thought process, because thoughts are a process. There's a beginning, a middle, and an end. If you keep on stopping in the middle because it got too uncomfortable, too hard, too difficult for you to continue, you will stop. If you don't address the joy or pain concept in your thought life, you will always go around in circles. You're always going to stop a process that has an end because you got to the middle and it was too difficult. The Pomodoro Technique is a time management method based on 25-minute stretches of focused work, broken by 5-minute breaks. Here's how it works. You set a timer on your phone or your watch, or on a kitchen timer, which is the original device which the creator of this process used, and you set a timer for 25 minutes. And in that 25 minutes, you do nothing else except the task that you have determined to do. Then you take a 5-minute break, and then you set another 25 minutes and you go on to either continue that task or go on to another task. You can take longer breaks, like 15 or 30 minutes, but that's after you have done 4 consecutive 25-minute sets. It was my former PA that introduced this method to me so many years ago when I was in the thick of a project. My right-hand girl and interior designer was on holiday, and I couldn't focus long enough to make even a dent in my work. And she introduced me to this Pomodoro Technique, and it worked. Now, this is what overwhelm and stress feels like. If you've come to this part of a recording and you're thinking, I don't know if I'm stressed, I don't know if I'm overwhelmed, I probably just genuinely have a lot of work to do, and these feelings have a right to remain. It looks like you have a defined goal. You can see it in the distance, but as you race towards it, a voice whispers, hey, you're running behind. That destination isn't going to wait for you forever. And then you run faster. And as you're running, you're picking up activities and people that are calling for your attention. And they're telling you that you are useless without them. And without them, you will not fulfill your goal. Your purpose will not be met. And so you gather everything and everyone that's calling for your attention with their weights and their challenges and their issues. And you keep running. Meanwhile, your feet are sore. Your entire body aches, and you dare not stop because it will all come crashing down if you do. Not only are your goals at risk of not happening, overwhelm robs you of a good quality of life. I knew that my overwhelm was robbing me of life, but I also explained it away and said, it's only for a season. It's only for a season. I just need to get over this hump. I just need to get over this hump. Now, I have been getting over humps and jumping over hurdles for a very long time, still lying to myself that I'm just going to get over this and I'll be fine. But it has become a habit and a lifestyle. And if this is you, it is time for us to stop. I stopped mine yesterday, and I woke up this morning feeling incredibly peaceful and joyful and lighter, and more in control of my life, because overwhelm means that something else, your activities, your plans, your hopes, your goals, your dreams, are pulling the strings of your own life, and you don't get a say in how it goes. And so I hope that you have been sufficiently inspired to address this draining state of being. The best way to start is by scheduling time to address it. So grab your journal and do a brain dump. Write every single thing you have on your mind, your intentions, your hopes, your dreams, your regrets, everything that's sitting in your mind needs to be on paper. And then you can brutally address each one. Remove the things that you have taken on for the wrong reasons. Remove the people that are taking your energy and don't serve you and have nothing to do with your future. Stop the activities that you have taken on because it makes you feel the way you want to feel. You know, activity drives our emotions ultimately. And if you are doing things for the wrong reason, your soul knows. You know, live authentically. If you want to feel loved, don't create situations that make you feel love. Give love instead. Just an example. On the subject of journaling, you can grab a free copy of my 30-day self-coaching journal by signing up to receive my newsletter on my website, toksaruoture.com. While you're there, you will also find workshops and courses, including the PR workshop. PR on a Budget is one that I highly, highly recommend. It's coming up on the 18th of May. If you're in business or you're building a personal brand, you don't want to miss it. As you probably know, I started my company with $75 and grew it from a corner of my room to becoming the premier baby furniture brand in Chelsea. PR was instrumental in getting us to where we stand today. And most of my PR, I have done myself. So in this workshop, I'll teach you everything I know, not textbook material, but real life experience. I'll show you the shortcuts, the tips, and the tricks that I still use. A PR agency will set you back anywhere from £3,000 to £5,000 per month with no guarantee of coverage. Doing it yourself not only saves you a lot of money, It puts you in the driving seat of how you wish you or your brand is portrayed. The link to this and all other goodies are in the show notes. This has been fun. Thank you for listening, and remember to rate, subscribe, and share this episode. Talk to you next week.